Canva is a graphic design platform. It allows you to pretty much create anything from presentations to videos to social media posts. My name is Mo Kiss. I'm a Director of Data Science in Marketing at Canva. When I started, we had about 500 employees. We are now over 4,000, and our user base has grown even faster than that. Globally, we are now at over 160 million monthly active users, which is just phenomenal.
Canva's part of the creative industry, so what we're really seeing is that by giving people simple tools, we've really been able to empower them to design. My name is Tim O'Keefe. I'm the head of data science here at Canva. The role of data at Canva is to really help everyone in the business make smarter decisions. That can be from individual feature launches where we need to support in measurement and experimentation, all the way up to helping the executives build their strategies. What we're now seeing as a massive trend, of course, is AI. That's made a massive impact in the industry already, and we're really trying to exploit data to be able to build much better AI products that make it much simpler for everybody to design.
Hi, I'm Greg Root. I'm the tech lead of the data group. Before migrating to Snowflake, we used to have different platforms for AI and machine learning compared to our analytics platforms, so it used to be really difficult for people to move between systems and work easily. We also used to have challenges in terms of the pricing model. You were charged for all of the compute that you needed, not for when you were using the compute. So Snowflake's separation of storage and compute really changed the game for us.
Data really is the backbone of marketing because it's what we use to inform every decision we make about our spend, about our tactics. We're trying to be smarter about how we use data. It's really about how we automate and how we build data tooling so that we can service the needs of a very fast-growing marketing organization. Data's king right now, isn't it? For us, it's probably even more important because design is so personal. So it's not enough to just have a search algorithm that's doing okay. It needs to be on point. Snowflake has really given us ease of use, but the other one that I just can't highlight enough is reliability.
The Snowflake platform has been really transformational to Canva and the way that we work with data. It's really a fantastic platform that's very flexible, that solves problems at Canva scale. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing what comes next in terms of this new wave of Gen AI and advanced Python features in Snowpark.
The number one benefit for using the Snowflake Data Cloud is that it just works. Our data scientists love it. They find it very simple, very easy to use, and powerful. I recommend it to everybody in the industry. It's just amazing.
Hello, and thank you for joining us here today as we deep dive into how we've used Snowflake Dynamic Tables to scale Canva's MarTech. So we love a little fun fact introduction here at Canva. So to kick things off, my name is Rowena. I'm one of 3 marketing analytics engineers here at Canva. In the 4 years I've been here, I've worked a lot on our marketing attribution models. And if I'm not working, then I'm probably knitting.
And hi everyone, I'm Dino. I have been working at Canva for about 2.5 years now, and one of the areas I work primarily on is around privacy and consent. But there's something that I do love to do so much, and that is I love to make fried chicken. So if I could, I would actually open up a fried chicken store at some point later in life. But I'd like to also introduce you to one of our other colleagues as well, Inam, who's not here today. But you know, he's got a background and really strong background in data engineering practice, and one of the things he loves to do is watching cricket. But I'll pass it back to Rowena too.
Thank you. Thanks, Gina. So today we're going to cover off who we are, what we do here in marketing at Canva. We'll go over Canva's marketing technology stack and the bottlenecks that we faced. Then Gino will deep dive into the solutions for each of those bottlenecks. So the first being change data capture and SnowPipe, and the main feature of today, Snowflake Dynamic Tables. Then we'll finish off with where we are now. So, as Mo mentioned in our lovely video, marketing is a super fast growing org here at Canva. We form part of the MarTech, or Marketing Technology team here at Canva, and our mission is to be able to enable marketing teams to be more efficient and more effective in driving brand love and empowering the world to design. A huge part of that is supporting marketing channels like search ads, emails, in-app messaging, which are core channels in how we drive customer engagement. So to set the scene, we're going to go through our marketing technology stack. Now, this is a bit of a simplified diagram, but at the heart of it all, we have Snowflake and dbt in our transformation layer. We use this to store, build, and transform pretty much all of our data. If we take a step back to the extract and load layer, we have data coming in from our third-party systems and our first-party systems. So third-party systems are pretty much our ad platforms that we work with, and this includes Braze. Braze is what we use for our messaging campaigns. So things like marketing, emails, in-app messaging, push notifications. We create all these campaigns and send them off via Braze. For most of our third-party data, we ingest this via Fivetran. For Braze, we actually have a super handy Snowflake data share set up. And so for our first-party systems, we have back-end services like messaging and user profile being ingested into Snowflake as well. On the other side, we have Mode, among other BI tools that we use to analyze and visualize our data. And at the top right, we use Census as our reverse ETL tool. So we use this to send data back out to third parties and activate our data. So for the example of Braze, we send our transformed data with information on user segmentation so that we can create messaging campaigns based off of these audiences and segments and make sure that we're sending the right segment, the right message. Cool. Cool. So for today, we're going to focus on the Braze and the messaging use case. And what I didn't show you before was that there are actually a few bottlenecks in this setup that lead to quite long lag times. So the first being our snapshot replication taking up to 24 hours. The transformation of the data could take another 24 hours. And sending the data off through Census could take up to another 24-hour frequency. In addition to all of this, the way we had our internal system set up with Braze as well meant that we could have inconsistent user data across our systems. So what this means on a practical level for our users is that if a user, say, subscribes to our premium product, Canva Pro, which as a side note, you guys should all do because it's a great product, it could take up to 72 hours for the ELT process, the audience creation in Braze, before the user received a personalized marketing email based off of their subscription. However, you've probably experienced this yourselves as well. In this day and age, we kind of expect personalization in real time. And what this requires is also real-time segmentation to power the personalized messaging. So going back to the three bottlenecks that we had, we can change the third bottleneck, the sync frequency and census, easily enough, but that doesn't really matter if we still have the upstream bottlenecks. So we came up with a vision for a process that is seamless, quick, and easy. And Essential MarTech Flow was born. Now Gina will dive into the details soon, but at a high level, we replaced our snapshot replication with a change data capture or CDC process and SnowPipe, and that cut down the delay when ingesting data into Snowflake. And the star of the show, dynamic tables, we learned about this feature from our partners at Snowflake, and it inspired this whole architecture. And that really cuts down our transformation time as well. And on top of it all, we added in some observability and monitoring using Big Eye. Over to Gino.
Thank you, Ro. All right, who's here ready for a technical talk? Yeah, hands up. Awesome, we've got a bunch of hands up, so I think it's good for us to brush through this now. The first thing I want to talk about is this change data capture, or how we actually get data into Snowflake itself. This is the part we're working on at the moment. This is the part I'm talking about. Let's talk about what happened in the past. So in the past, we were getting data into Snowflake very slowly. I mean, for some people, 24 hours, like, wow, that's pretty fast. But for us, at Canva's pace, 24 hours, we want to be a little bit faster than that. So we were using a more like a DMS replications and popping data into S3 buckets and then putting that data directly in Snowflake so that the latency was there within 24 hours. For us, we want to be faster. So the process we went after is actually using DynamoDB streams to put that data into Snowflake and using SnowPipe for that. So that allows us to be relatively quickly. So went from 24 hours to 2 to 5 minutes. But not only that, but we're able to handle a large volume of data coming in as well. In a sense where we get so many events coming to Canva and we're able to stream that directly into Snowflake quite relatively quickly. But it's a little bit of a, quick refresher. With our change data capture, originally we were doing just batch processing, but now we're able to do change data capture. That means we're able to process things row by row basis. And SnowPipe, if you use SnowPipe before, essentially it's just a copy command that loads data directly into Snowflake, right? But as Varuna was saying, the star of the show is dynamic table. And this is what I wanted to talk to you more about, But before we talk about dynamic table, who here has used dynamic tables before on Snowflake? I know this is an AWS event, but you can put your hands up. It's all good. Cool. All right, it seems like a lot of people haven't used dynamic table, so I wanted to give you a bit of more background on that. And basically, dynamic table is as easy as creating a view. But it's a view that has a compute engine behind that allows you to refresh that data at your latency, right? So for us, we can refresh the data every 5 minutes, every 1 hour, every 24 hours, every 1 week. Well, we don't do 1 week. We go a little bit faster than that. And it's a new type, so it's pretty simple to use. But not only that, but it allows us to really scale as Canva scales as well. And the benefits of using dynamic tables are as outlined. One is all Snowflake managed. For us, we don't have to worry about setting up the compute. We don't have to worry about setting up the infrastructure to refresh those tables. Snowflake does it all for us. So which allows us to work more on productive things, to add value back within marketing itself. So that's what we call add value, value adding there. And it scales as we scale. We can go from 100 records of data to 1 million records to 1 billion records, and Dynamic Table is able to handle all of that. And here's the magic. Here's where the magic comes, right? Rowena was talking about the different bottlenecks of the various parts of our MarTech stack. And where we use Dynamic Table is within this transform area. But before I start on that one there, I wanted to give you a bit more of a deep dive in terms of the use case that we're going to be working on. So just imagine you work in marketing and you want to be able to identify people who you want to send out emails to. So you create an audience, right? So we're going to talk about segmentations here in this as a use case. And how we built this process behind using Dynamic Table is what we call our central MarTech flow. And this is how we get data into Snowflake, how we transform that data in a very fast pace, and how we're able to expose that out to our email platform like Braze. So the first layer that we have here is raw. This is where we get data coming in quite quickly. So this is where we have like very low volume of data. Data's in an unprocessed format, JSON format. And then we're able to process that in a very smallish way, so we don't apply heavy transformation, and we load that data into source layer where we might do some deduplication, maybe keep the latest records, and then we use that data to join with other data in the transformation layer. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated. We may do some case when statements, we may do some more complex joins in that case there, and that data is ready to be exposed now to the 3P, third-party systems like Braze. So we put that into a Braze section, and then that Braze section, we want to do that because we don't want, we want to follow the access of like being able to do being able to provide the least privilege as possible. So we wanted to keep a very separate scheme in that space there. And coupling all of this, we have data masking and retention policies added on top because that's very important to us. And then the whole entire thing is also monitored and alert on top as well. But before I get started with the actual technical underlining of things, we use dbt for everything within Canva. And the reason why we use dbt for a lot of things is because we want to be able to create models that can be referenced by other models, but also we want to be able to empower our data scientists to build things in a very operationalized way so that they can build things and they can deploy things to production. So it's important for us to be able to also deploy things, deploy dynamic table using dbt as well. But there's some caveats that we found using dbt in this case here. One is that dynamic tables on dbt can only be created, but it can't be updated or anything. You can update the latency of it and things like that, but we can't actually update, so we have to drop the table and recreate it again. And the other caveat is that it doesn't really allow us to create things in a fine and granular way because we have to wait for further dbt releases. So that's a bit about how we use dbt and Canva's. We have, I think, reached around about 8,000 dbt models now, so it's a significant amount for us, so dbt is quite important to us. But let's go back into the segment use case, right? So you can see on the screen there, we've got a bunch of data tables, as you can see. So one, we may have a user table, we have a subscription table, and a segment table. We will bring that data into the source layer in a way where it's just by itself. We call it a common model. And then we will do a transformation where we'll join those data together and expose that to Braze. And then who doesn't like actual seeing data? So this is an example of a data that's all mock-up. But you can see here, when we get data into the raw layer, it comes in a very heavy format in the sense where it's very long. We have to do a filter. So in the source layer, we apply those filters on top. So you can see from the first example there with a common user table, we actually get rid of the users who is not active. So we do apply a very simple filter. We do the same thing with segments as well, where we only keep records that are of type segment. So that's what we call like very simple filter. And that's a dynamic table itself. So we actually run that relatively quickly, run that every single 10 minutes. It'll bring the data in, refresh the data with those latest records. And then we'll join those data together in the transformation layer. And it will also convert that into a payload format that's required by Braze as well. Because we want to make sure we match it between what we have on hand and what the third-party system requires. So we're able to transform that relatively quickly as well. So all this entire data pipeline actually takes about 10 minutes. So we went from something that takes 24 hours to something that actually takes around about 10 minutes, sometimes about 20 minutes as well. So it really depends on the volume of data coming in, but it's relatively a lot quicker. So just deep diving into a little bit here, the source layer, as mentioned, is optimized for speed. We want to do things very simply. We want to make sure that we don't do anything complicated there. So qualify row number filters. And the transformation layer is where we do things a bit more complicated and convert that into the target format that's required. And there are some challenges that we face using dynamic table, because if you're building something and you're not facing any challenge, it's like, it's not true, right? Like you always have to face some sort of challenges. So we do face challenges using dynamic table. Number one is there's a process, something called lag time, and then monitoring of lag time. For us, we can't always rely on that because it's not really, it's based on like how Snowflake schedule things, but it doesn't actually mean the time that our model actually runs, or our dynamic table model actually runs. So we actually use an internal log table. The other thing is we can't use lateral flatten. And then if you're using JSON, you want to be able to unpack things. And, but that's on the roadmap. It is coming, hopefully soon, but it is coming, that we've been told. And not all dynamic tables should use the same warehouse size. So dynamic table functions by Snowflake's managed warehouse sizes. So for us, we found that running on everything on extra large is probably not the way to go, because the more frequent you run it, the smaller warehouse you actually need, which makes sense, right? And lastly is we can't actually at the moment tell which record in our dynamic table has been updated or inserted. So we actually have to depend on our internal tables instead, and our like source system timestamp instead. But what are the benefits of dynamic table at Canva, right? One, for us, it allows us to be very quick. We're able to build data pipelines and processes quite quickly, and push that all the way out to our third-party system within our own time frame. We don't have to wait 24 hours for dbt systems to run and things like that. And it allows us to really centralize a lot of our data source. So that means all our service systems, they pushed out into our Snowflake environment. We're able to actually centralize all of that in one location, join the data together, and use that in a more productive way. And lastly, you're going to hear me say this a lot, but it allows us to scale as Canva scales. And I think that's quite important to us, is we want to make sure we have technologies that allows us to fully scale as well. And I'll pass it back to Ro to wrap this thing up.
Thank you. where we are now. So if we go back to our example of a user subscribing to Canva Pro, we have that down from 72 hours to within the hour for a user to receive their personalized marketing email. If we think back to our vision of a seamless, quick, and easy process, we've definitely ticked the quick box with not only one record only taking 1 hour to sync, but also if we need to sync a full load of data, we've dropped that down from 8 weeks to 10 hours. And we've also reduced the development time and effort of our engineers and data scientists from 2 weeks down to 2 days. This centralized dynamic table setup we have also enhances the visibility on what we're sending to third parties, as everything we send out to Census basically goes through this process. And in general, we just have a much more robust system. So thank you to Snowflake for letting us know about these dynamic tables. And that's all we have for you today. Gino and I will be at the Snowflake booth for the next half hour or so. If you want to pop by and ask us any questions or just to say hi. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Keep that applause going, please. Fantastic.